Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Asyhad Fahmi Abdillah, NIM J141700078. In this occasion, I will present result of my research which title Modeling Return on Assets (ROA) on Islamic Banks using Panel Data Regression, supervised by Professor Dr. Asep Saifuddin MSc and Dr. Anwar Fitrianto MSc. And here is the outline for this occasion. Introduction. Banking is the main pillar of the economy. As the largest Islamic country, Islamic Bank in Indonesia must continue to grow. If the banks in a country are in good management, it will help the economy remain stable. There are many indicators to measure how well the bank is performing, such as return on asset, capital adequacy ratio, financing to deposit ratio, etc. Return on assets (ROA) is the most comprehensive accounting measure of a bank's overall performance, according to Arifin in 2012. Reported from the annual report of Islamic Banks on 2019, 8 of 13 banks have an ROA value of less than 1.5%. If the ROA value is more than 1.5%, then the bank is in good performance. Based on the 2019 data, some Islamic banks in Indonesia have not performed well in terms of their ROA. According to the fact before, the bank needs to know what factors that affect ROA as the main indicator for its performance. Relating to the government, OJK as supervisor of the banks also needs to know the factors that affect ROA as assessment and evaluation for the banks it supervises. So, ROA modeling using other indicators is needed. The idea of this research is based on previous studies as follows. So, this study has an objective to analyze the effect of CAR, FDR, NPF, POPO, TPF, and the external factors and modeling them on ROA in Islamic banks for the period of 2014 to 2020. Methodology. Data source from annual report from every Islamic bank published on the website for the period of 2014 to 2020. There are 13 banks to be observed, and here is the variables used at this study. The first model to be performed is pool wireless regression, and the equation is as follows. This method is the same as a simple linear regression model using the least squares method by combining cross-section and time series into one complete data unit, according to Agus Salim et al. In 2019. And the second model to be performed is fixed effect model. At this study, I chose to use within group estimation, and the initial panel data model is as follows. Epsilon I is the new term at this model, represent individual fixed effect of unobserved factors affecting YIT. If we put from this study, which is bank performance, epsilon I represented by management style, customer characteristic, and other indicators that not in the model, while XI, X2 until XK represented by CAR, NPF, FDR, BOPO, and other indicator mentioned before. There's a potentially of heterogeneity because of covariance between epsilon I and XIT. So to solve the heterogeneity problem, we express each variable as a deviation from its time mean. The observations are said to be mean corrected because we subtract the mean of each variable from the individual's values. We eliminate heterogeneity in the data, and because of the intercept is constant, its mean is equal to its value, so it will give 0 if we subtract. The third model to be performed is error components model. Some people call it by random effect model. Different from the fixed effect within group estimation, instead of assuming that beta 0i is fixed, error components model assumes that it is a random variable from the means of beta 0 without I, according to Gujarati and Porter in 2012. If we put the beta 0i equation to the error components model, it will become to YIT equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1IT plus until plus beta k xkAT plus WIT. WIT equal to epsilon I plus UIT. Data analysis procedure. After getting the data, the next step is data exploration to get the general description and identify the pattern of the data by seeing the plot. And then the next step is build the model with progression, fixed effect model, and error components model. And then perform choice test. If the result give accept hypothesis nil, so progression chosen. But if not, perform Hausman test. If in the Hausman test the result is give accept hypothesis nil, so error components model chosen. But if not, fixed effect model chosen. And then assumption checking. Assumptions to be checked are normality, heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, and multicollinearity. With the assumption violated, we must handling the assumption violation by modification or transformation. And we must go back again with modeling and choose the best model again and assumption checking again. If the assumption clear, the last step is evaluation and interpretation. Here is the graph of ROA value. There are three categories of ROA. The first category, A, represent ROA value around 0 until 4%. The category B represent ROA value around minus 10 until 1%. And the last, C, represent ROA value around 4 until 14%, which is only BTP and Syariah. From the graph, we can conclude that ROA value of Islamic Bank varies in 2014 to 2020. Move from the ROA value, here is the correlation coefficient between variables. Notice that x1, x3, and x4 had a high number to y, so these variables potentially have a significant effect to ROA. And here is the model of pole, fixed effect, and error components. In a pole, the significant variables are x1 and x3, but in fixed effect and error components, the significant variables are x3 and x4. To choose the best model, we perform Chow and Hausman test. In the Chow test, conclusion is fixed effect better than pole, and in Hausman test, the conclusion is error components model better than fixed effect model. So at this situation, error components model is the best model. After get the best model, the next step is assumption checking. Unfortunately, 3 out of 4 assumptions are violated. Normality, heteroscedasticity, and autocorrelation are violated. The only assumption clear are multicollinearity, shown by all of the value as less than 10. So the conclusion is there's no multicollinearity. So we must handling this assumption violation. The way I handle assumption violation is by removing BTPN Syariah and Bank BJB Syariah. For Bank BTPN Syariah, the ROA value is so high that it is almost perfect comparing to other banks. For Bank BJB Syariah, there were two significant drop of ROA value in 2016 and 2017. The explanatory variable did not change as significantly as the ROA, so it can make the model worse. And here is the panel data regression after handling. In pool, fixed effect, and error components model give significant variables x3 and x6 with a better x-square than before. So we can conclude that the removal of two individuals give a better model. After that, perform Chow test and Hausman test. The conclusion is fixed effect better than pool and fixed effect better than error components model, so fixed effect is the best model. After that, we move to assumption checking after handling. At this moment, the only assumption violated is normality test, but the rest of assumptions are clear. According to Palan in 2020, variable residual abnormalities in studies with large samples are common and should not cause a major problems. Because the number of observations in this study is more than 40, it can ignore the normality. And this is the equation of the best model. The variables that have a significant effect on the 5% level of significance are operational cost on operational revenues and gross domestic product from Indonesia. Only FDR and TPF have positive parameter estimates in the model. This means that an increase in the value of FDR or TPF can increase the value of ROA. Because the fixed effect model was chosen, each individual in the model has a different effect, which is indicated by the intercept value shown by table beside. Model has R-square of 90%, which means that 90% of the diversity of ROA can be explained by exploratory variables, while the rest is explained by variables outside the study. Conclusion. Panel Data Regression analysis to model ROA in Islamic Bank in 2014 to 2020 resulted in the best model, namely fixed effect model within group estimation. Each individual in the firm of a bank has a different specific influence. The variables that have a significant effects are operational cost on operational revenues and gross domestic product at a significant level of 5%, both of which have as negative parameters. This means that the greater of the value of both will reduce the ROI value of Islamic banks. The measure of the goodness of the model using R-square produces a value of 90%. Recommendation. The study only uses annual data, so the period obtained is not large enough. It is necessary to do research using monthly data, so the data obtained is quite a lot, and the values in the data are more representative according to time. It is also necessary to address assumption violations apart from deleting observation so that existing research are not wasted. And here is the references, and thank you.